Table Talk Show with Nikki G the Voice.
Mr. Sonny Roberts, on behalf of me, Marshall Montano, I would like to say congratulations. You are a trailblazer. Thank you for your contribution to music, production, soca music, reggae music. Thank you for what you have done. God bless you. Congrats.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to Table Talk Show with Nikki G the Voice, and I have my guest, Angie, full name Angie Roberts. Today hi Angie, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you.
So today we're doing coverage on her father, who is Sonny Roberts. He was a pioneer. He lived in London for a good while. He was born in the 1930s.
Yep, 1931.
Born in 1931. And he is one of the pioneers of reggae music in London, including soca and some other hits, so we'll get into that with Angie. So Angie, how are you, first of all?
Fine, thank you. I'm doing very well today. Thank you so much for asking.
Yeah, and how are you enjoying the weather? I know you've been back and forth to London and coming back to the US and so forth. How is it, your journeys thus far with everything?
So the journey's fine. London was grey as usual, but luckily for me, the days that I was out were hot and sunny. But the weather's nice. The weather in New York at the moment is great. It's hot, but London was grey, usual London weather, which was just regular for me because I was born there. So it was nice.
How is it between, being that you go back and forth and so forth? How is it, if you want to explain to everyone, how does it feel living here compared to being there?
So it's two cities, London and New York, very similar because they're big cities, but they're still very, very different. Living wise, everything. It took me a long time to get used to the American way. It took a very long time to adjust, and you know what? I'm still adjusting to certain things, which is it's a good and a bad thing. However, my family will say I'm so Americanized.
Oh, they will.
they say you're so Americanized, but yeah, it is very different. It is different. In a lot of ways, culturally, food wise, the industry, the way how people live with each other, especially.
It is very different.
It's very different.
Yeah. Coming from a West Indian background, I think I'm still set in my ways, even though I've spent a lifetime here, as much as a lifetime there, not trying to give away my age, but it's like you never get away from the culture, you would kind of, as you say, adapt to this culture here, but you still have the parts of you being from London or wherever you come from,
That's true. And you know what? I'm being brought up in a Caribbean home. Jamaican is mine. And it wasn't until I morphed with the Caribbean people in the US that I started to find my niche and get comfortable in New York.
Okay.
It wasn't until I got, friendly with people from the Caribbean community that I found okay, I can stay here.
Yeah.
But until then, I was not feeling it.
Over here or over there?
Over here.
Over here.
I mean, that's my home. London's my home. So regardless, I'll always feel comfortable. But until I found, okay, I can live here.
Yeah.
Very important to find your, I see that's why New York have their Italians stick together, the blacks stick together, the Russians stick together. Until you find your community, that's how you can really live in a foreign country. Because it's hard. It's really difficult.
It is.
It is hard when you're away from your roots.
True.
Basically.
True. I felt mine was the opposite, where when I first came here, I was in Queens. So coming from home, I lived with friends, and then I came out to the suburbs of Jersey, and it was totally different. I wanted to go back to New York. And that's why I always have friends and clients and so forth still in New York, because I feel like even though I'm from Trinidad, landing in Queens was my next home, you know? And as you say, it's like, because the Caribbean community is there, that's where I relate to, you know, it's relatable. But I adapted. I got used to living here, and living in New Jersey now, it's like, it's not a hustle and bustle per se as the way New York is. Yeah.
Right.
So
it's a lot calmer.
Yeah, it's a lot calmer, but when it's on the weekend, I go straight to New York.
Yes, I understand that.
Yeah. So how long have you lived here, if you don't mind me asking?
No, not at all. I've lived in New York like 23 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, 23 years, and I left London about 28 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, 28 years ago. Yep.
Yeah, that's a while, but still, you still have your roots, and going back and forth. Yeah. So let's jump into your dad and the history of your father and so forth. I've been going through everything that you sent me. I went through the Guardian newspaper, and I saw all the accolades and stuff like that. And first thing that came to mind, how does a carpenter get into music? And you never know where you're going to be. You never know. You know what your talents are. You know what you like, what your passion is, and so forth. So sometimes it doesn't matter if, let's say, if you're doing photography or you in a business or whatever, everybody has their passion. So as I kept on reading, I realized, I said, okay, music was his passion. Yeah, and he was a carpenter. So give us a brief synopsis of the beginning, let's say, instead of rushing.
So he left Jamaica as a young boy with his trade as a carpenter, came to London, and he started off making speaker boxes and going to sound systems, and they were playing in sound systems for weddings and christenings and stuff like that. He loved music, and he just had a passion for it.
Yeah.
And he found that he could he liked this beat, and he liked the beat. And in England, when he got there, it was so different. It was like a culture shock.
Yeah.
It was all teddy boys and skinheads and every corner, even though they were part of England and they were brought over there to work on the buses and be nurses and do work, they felt ostracized. They were beaten up at night, and you couldn't go out after 8 o'clock. And it was terrible. And they found, like, why did we come here? So my father, he just thought, he found this place, and my dad's very handy with his hands, and he found that egg boxes made a surround sound.
Wow. And what boxes he used?
Egg boxes.
The cartons.
The egg cartons.
Okay.
That's how he made his studio.
Wow.
And it's soundproof.
Oh yeah, that's true, because that's what people use now if they don't have, you see the crates.
Right.
If they don't have the foams.
So that was his way, and that's what he did at the address. And he named it Planetone Studio, and it was a one-track studio. And he had a few guys together, and they started a little beat, and one by one, people used to come by, and singers used to come by, and people used to hear about it. And he used to cook a pot, make a lamb soup, make a stew pork, and a rice and peas, and people didn't have work, and it started off as a liming place, and it grew from there.
Yeah.
And people with all kinds of talent started to come, and it grew the interest of Chris Blackwell. That's where Trojan started there at 108 Cambridge Road, where my dad had a studio. He was upstairs upstairs in the office upstairs.
Yeah.
And you know, that's how it started. And it was just Jackie Edwards sang there, everybody sang there.
Yeah.
They all started coming there and just jamming. It was just a jam spot, an alignment spot. And that's where he started from 1961 until 1965.
Mm-hmm.
And Planetone Studio, he put out a few tunes from there, recorded a few people, and then he moved on to Orbitone. And that's where he started to be a distributor and do other kinds of stuff and sell records.
Yeah. And these are vinyl records that we know about.
Those are the vinyls, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. So how old, just going back a little bit, how old was he when he came here, and did he start working immediately at that age?
So he came here when he was 19.
Okay.
He started Planetone, I believe, when he was 20.
Okay.
But he was working, it's funny. He actually used to work as a, you know, for the television companies, TV. He used to work in making backdrops.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he used to make backdrops with his uncle. Hated it. Mm-hmm. And then for side money, he used to go and make speaker boxes on the side for parties and play at parties. He had a sound system.
Uh-huh. So that's how he got in more into the music.
Mm. That's right. He had a sound system and play music. Mm-hmm. And that's how he got into the music, because that he used to make his little extra pennies on the side.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He used to buy music. Yep.
I find that's very innovative for you to, you know, do such and then create a music box where you end up selling that, because most people was enjoying that, right?
Yes.
The creation.
Mostly for enjoyment. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But he just always, you know, I think it started off, it wasn't planned to be this huge big dream of his. His dream just started off as a little thing, and it just grew, because he had a belief that music made people happy. Mm-hmm. And whatever hard times you were going through, people used to come and go home happy. It made them happy to think that even though we're in this country and they hate us and we're getting beaten, when we come here and we sing and we dance and we go to our parties and we lime and we dance, we're happy. Yeah. And that's what he loved. You know, he liked to make people happy. He was a very, very, very people person.
Yeah. Well, you see, through history, even with jazz, you know, even during slavery and so forth, music was a big part of our history, you know. So, I mean, I read that people would go to his store, as you said, because it was so bad. They felt comfortable. It was like a safe zone for them to be in his store. And even though it was small, safe haven. So even though it was small, he still made it comfortable by cooking and you know.
Even up until, I mean, even in my teens, I remember every day he would cook every day. We had a pot bubbling. People used to come off the street, Sonny, you're cooking today? Yes, I'm cooking. And he would make a plate for anybody, because some people, you know, they don't have it.
Exactly.
So that was his thing. He would always be cooking. And even when he was older, like big man, when I was in my 20s, that was his thing. Record shop, you always get a plate.
Yeah.
Christmas, forget it. Christmas Eve, we never used to go home till about 6 o'clock in the morning.
What? So you were always with him?
Always with him because after like on the weekends, Saturdays, we was in the shop. That was it. I never had a life. My life was in the shop. I never was allowed to go to the mall with my friends, go shopping. That was our life. Record shop, sleeving records.
Oh, so you helped with that?
Yeah, we was at weekends, was at the record shop, and don't talk about no guy could look at his daughters. Oh no, we had to stay in the back and sleeve. He was very strict. But Christmas Eve, I remember Christmas, all the sound men used to come and line up because they wanted the hottest dub plates. And my dad used to get them from Jamaica. He used to go every year. And when Christmas come, he would have the Trinidad, would send him the hottest soca music before it come out. he would get
He
it
would get
first.
everything
first.
Mm.
So he was the place to be.
So who were some of the artists that he worked with, as you mentioned, for soca?
So he licensed. He worked with, he licensed Explainer, Lorraine, that was on his license on our label.
Yeah.
License. Kitchener, Give Me the Ting,
Yeah.
Sugar Boom Boom, Hot 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 by Arrow, that was under our license, under his label. He knew loads of other people, but that was actually on our label that he licensed. Those are one of the Hot Soca Hot Soca tracks.
And that was very hot back then. Yeah.
Back then.
Because
at the time, back in those days, in the 80s, people weren't, those other things were all into reggae. It was all into reggae. When soca first hit, they were like, no, we're not interested in soca. No. So my dad was the only one that he loved soca from day one. And he was like, yeah, he loved it. You know, I remember when Marshall first came into my dad's shop, he was 9, and he came in with his mother. Oh
my gosh, in London.
In London, yeah, he was 9, and he used to speak to his mom and give her kind of guidance, be like, don't stop, he's gonna be a star. When his first hit, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember I was behind the curtain watching Little Marshall, but I didn't know him then. But I remember the song. It was his first hit. And I never forget it. But yeah, he loved soca, always did, and he promoted it. He was the only soca distributor back then in the 80s. It was Orbiton Records. It was the only soca distributor.
Okay. Did you come across Ras Shorty? Like, when, as they say, he's like the godfather of soca. So did you ever come across him by chance?
Me personally, no, but probably my father did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because everybody speaks of, well, I mean, every country would say, okay, soca started here, or soca started in a certain place. Trinidad usually claims soca because Ras Shorty, they said he was the forefather of soca who started soca, but it was Kaiso back then. And then
Kaiso with a K, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So Nyla, I think she did a song in reference to it, and she actually spelled it that way, so people would understand the origination of it and the name of it, you know.
My dad loves soca.
Yeah.
Always loved it. And that's why he promoted it, because he always knew it would go far. Look how big soca is now.
Yeah.
Look how big it is. Everybody's on it now. Every single culture is into soca now.
Yeah.
And back in the 80s, it wasn't. So it's good. I mean, it really, really did grow.
Yeah, it really did. Because you see in Japan,
yeah,
they have soca DJs, and you know, truly amazing. So I read in The Guardian that going back to when he first came, right? They had something called the Windrush of 1948.
Yes. So the Windrush generation is basically all of the Caribbean islands that were part of the Commonwealth that was ruled under the Queen.
Okay.
When the jobs were running after the war, after the Second World War, they needed people because they lost so many people. So they said that all these Caribbean countries, they can all come to England and work. So they gave everybody citizenship. I mean, they already were British citizens because they were colonized by Britain. So Trinidad, Barbados, St. Lucia, they brought in all these countries. Come over and get jobs. Come and get a better life. And they did. And everybody flooded the UK from all those Caribbean islands, you know, and they worked on the buses. They became nurses. My mum was a nurse. She came at 18. Nursing, buses, postman, you know, just like America, the jobs that the other migrants don't want to do. You know, we did them. We did them. That's what they call the Windrush generation.
You
know, and then, you know, those are the people that came over in the early late 30s, early 40s. They asked them to bring over because everybody went to war.
Wow. So how did your mom meet your dad? How did that union?
Okay, so when my dad was looking for a pianist, somebody that could play the organ. And my mom's niece, my Aunt Nellie, could play the piano. We all went to piano lessons, but she could play the piano.
Yeah.
And because my aunt niece was, I didn't know this at the time, but she was 11.
Only
And he
11 back then.
she was 11. And my mother had to chaperone her to the studio.
Uh-huh.
So the two of them went along to the studio. And my father said, how old are you? You can play the piano? And she can. She was actually a very good pianist.
Yeah.
But classical music. But she can play. So she was playing the organ for my father and whatever they were recording. And then, you know, my dad saw my mom and my mom saw my dad and they were making eyes. And then suddenly they were starting to go, and she wanted to go more often because she liked my dad, and that's how they met.
Yeah.
And then my aunt, one of the singers that used to go there, fell in love with my aunt, and they formed a group, and they formed the Marvels. Oh. And the Marvels is a huge group that toured all over the world.
Yeah.
She was part of the Marvels. And she's the Aretha Franklin of the Marvels. Aretha Franklin of the Marvels. She can sing. Yeah. She's very good. But that's how my dad met my mom. And what was it, 53 years of marriage?
That's a long
it's a long time. So that's how they met. They met in the studio because she had to chaperone my aunt, her niece. Yeah.
So your aunt right now, is she?
She's still alive. She's still in England.
Okay, she's still there. Did she pursue a career?
Singing?
Yeah.
No, she doesn't sing anymore. The Marvels broke up, many years ago. Yeah. Many late 70s.
Yeah.
But she did do backing for my dad. Anytime my dad needed a backing singer, she was there.
She would be
her
there.
daughter sings. Her daughter sings, and actually her two grandchildren are here in Atlanta, and they're producers. So there's they're producers in Atlanta. So there's music in the blood.
Yeah.
But yeah, she doesn't sing. She doesn't sing anymore. I mean, she's in her she's late 70s. But but anytime my dad would ask her, Nell, I need a singer, she would always
be right there.
Yeah.
Well, most times you find, your offsprings would probably follow in the direction or the footsteps of the parents. I mean, with you working with your dad, did you love music? Did it rub off on you in some way? Or
I love music. I love to dance, but he didn't. It's such a cutthroat industry. He didn't want us as girls.
Yeah.
Because he had all girls.
Yeah.
He didn't want us to be in that industry as women. It was a cutthroat industry, and it's so difficult. I think my elder sister Jackie, she's the only one that made 2 records. She can sing. She can sing. Yeah. She has the voice. We wasn't really singers or anything like that. But yeah, no, we wasn't into that. But we're more of the business side. He wanted us to be the business side of it. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. So tell me about he was honored with a blue plaque by the Nubian Community Trust?
Yes. Yes. So the Nubian Community Trust. So blue plaque is like when you get a street named after you, when you have done something very, like, you can't, it's like an honor that you can only get once the facts have been proven. Okay. They do all their background checks. They make sure it's true facts. And they did their due diligence. It took a year and a half for them to dig up everything.
Okay.
To prove that he really did have the first recording he was the first Black recording studio, which we always knew, but and he really did so much good things in the Black community that they said this man has to be honored, because a few people that had worked for Trojan, were surprised that they'd never heard of him, because my dad he's a very humble person. He's very shy, he's very humble, and he wasn't like a bossy person. He always told us when we were little, I had the first Black recording studio, and I always knew, but he wasn't like that. but they approached us and we said, yeah, we know. And we decided to, you know what? He's passed now and it's time for him to get his flowers because history is history and it's history.
Yeah.
And I think it's so, I think children, Black children, especially, need to know stuff like this because it's empowering.
Yeah.
And it is Black history.
Especially in the Caribbean community as well.
Exactly.
To know who founded something, where it came from, the years, who was them. Because with you telling me that Marshall went there, I'm a very visual person. So I'm just thinking, imagine, I mean, back then, as you said, we were more into reggae and music and stuff. And Kaiso, to me, was kind of boring but it told our history. Right. We did it in school. For my exams, we did one of the artist's songs, right, called Bundem, but it was talking more of politics in the Caribbean, also politics in England and so forth, Right. So it's a very interesting culture.
Right. And you can't let it die because, for an immigrant to come across all those days. But I mean, my parents have told me horrific stories of being chased in the night, being beaten, I mean, they've told me horrific stories when they come from party. Our skinheads used to run with knife and all kind of stuff. Yeah, they used to go through horrific stuff. And they stuck with it, there was, I mean, to get your record played on look at where we are now. Look how we are now. To get a Black record played on the radio, was impossible back then. I don't know if you know Millie Small, My Boy Lollipop. The first recording was recording at Planetone.
Yeah, I saw
because
that.
Those Black artists, they couldn't go into a white studio and record nothing.
Yeah.
That's why Planetone was needed, because Chris Blackwell couldn't take those Black artists into nothing else.
Yeah.
Because the whites didn't want them. But he wanted to record Black artists.
Yeah.
So all those Black artists that had such talent didn't have anywhere to go. So they needed a studio. But it's nowhere in history.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So it's important to know how we started to where we are now.
That's true.
It's so important.
Yeah.
And that's why we had to go through with this blue plaque, and I want it everywhere. I want it in schools. I want it everywhere. It has to be,
Yeah, it's very important. I mean,
important.
Looking through the histories of some of the artists that you see in the 70s, 50s, and so forth, you see that a lot of them try to get like white managers in order to get them to where they wanted to be, and they were the ones that stood up for them, Yeah. That's really honorable.
It's important. It's so important because it is history. It's not only our history, but it's our children's history.
True. That's true. Yeah, generations and generations. Yeah. So
and it gives them enlightenment, like, wow, if he can do it, I can do it. Yeah. It's not all sports. We're not only good for sports.
Yeah. And that's what's highlighted. It's just sports, never something that we made. I mean, we made the wheel, there's so many things. I saw a documentary. Well, not a documentary.
The traffic light.
Girl, everything.
Red, gold, and green. I mean, I remember as a kid, stories that my dad going to the bank. I remember, I don't know if we'll probably touch on it later about his hit in the British charts. They did it on their own. They had to press them record by themselves out of their hard-earned pockets.
Money. So nobody loaned them anything.
No, everything my dad did was from his own pocket, working. He used to always have, even in our house in Jamaica now, he has a woodwork room where he used to be always making stuff to, earn extra money on the side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He always did that because he said, I can't get no loan. So he has to make boxes on the side. He has to do stuff on the side.
I hope within, I'm not sure. at lengths of how you're going to how should I say, preserve his history as far as the things that you're telling me, because I know sometimes people would quicker go look at a video or interview and so forth. But I think books are really important where people could actually read what happened, because I read in the paper, but of course in the paper it has to be summarized because there's certain things that you can't
say,
right? Unless you're following the history of him and you know him and you're following it for years and he's been saying it. But some of these things people don't know. So, all right. So we would play some songs so you would get familiar with what Angie's dad did, Sonny Roberts did. I mean, there's so much history behind it. I am gonna put links in the YouTube when you scroll below, so you'll be able to click on those links and hear some of the songs and see some of the history and follow his page. You just go into Instagram and you see Sonny Roberts and you see all the highlights, the plaques that he received, some of the accolades, some of the artists that speak about him, Marsha Montano as well. I know, some of the younger ones would know Marsha Montano.
Of course.
And if you go through and you look on YouTube, you'll see Explainer and Kitchener. Some of those were the forefathers of soca. And I also saw that he did
Afrobeat.
Well, of course, Afrobeats. Yeah, how was that?
So in the early 1970s, he produced a Nigerian band called the Nkenges. They had a couple albums, Destruction. It's actually been used in a few commercials right now. Toyota, Apple. I'll send you the links.
Okay.
It's amazing. But that was one of the early examples. Afrobeat is so huge now, but again, my dad's vision.
Yeah.
He had a vision, and at the time it was like Afrobeat. But if you hear the music, oh my God, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had that vision. Then Kenga's it's Afrobeat is so huge right now. But that was in 1971. He produced this group. And it's really kicking up now. And he had one hit, a British chart hit in 1986. I don't know if you read that, called by Judy Boucher. She was from St. Vincent.
Yeah,
and it was number 2. It was number 2 on the British charts for 6 weeks. It didn't get to number 1, but because Madonna kicked her out of the spot with Isla Bonita or something.
Yeah, Isla Bonita.
But yeah, Can't Be With You Tonight was number 2, and that was when the banks wanted to give him the money.
After he established.
Yeah, and that was his that was it. That was when he catapulted throughout the whole of the UK. That was big for us, and it was all over the place, because it was like they called us the mum and pop shop, and we couldn't believe it. It was in order to get on. My dad was diligent of posting. We had to post vinyl every week. Every week we would run to the post office and post it to every single radio station, and pray that they would play it. And then they would play, but they would play at not the hot times. So it was a lady that used to do exercises on a morning breakfast show.
Yeah.
And she played my dad's this record one morning.
Yeah. At
5 a.m. And it was seen on the television, and it flooded the TV with calls. What is this record? What is this record? And that's what catapulted him onto the British charts.
You made my pause raise.
But yeah, so that, so he never gave up. Post those records, and we did it for years. And it wasn't until 1986 where one DJ played it in the middle of the night. And she heard it while she was going to the studio, called the radio station, I want to dance to this record. And she did an exercise to it. It's very slow. My dad only did ballads back then. Only did slow ballads. And she danced to it, and it flooded BBC with the what is this record? And that's how he got his hit.
Yeah.
And that was that. But thank you. It was nice.
Yeah. So his two recording studios was Planetone Studios and Orbitone Records.
Orbitone Records was the record shop. It was a retail. It was a retail shop and distribution. So we used to just distribute, and that was just a retail shop. So Planetone Studio was his only studio.
Recording studio.
He never had another studio from that. Yeah.
Okay. And Island Records, I see.
So Island Records was actually housed in Planetone. They had an office upstairs.
Okay.
And Trojan Records was an island. Trojan and Island were one.
Okay.
And they actually were in that same building.
All right. Yeah, so it was like a 3-story building. Right. And then one of his friends who was the landlord, and then they
Lee Guptill and Chris Blackwell.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. My dad and Chris Blackwell are like this.
Close. Yeah.
Close friends to the day he died. Yeah.
But you see how things happen. Like, you know, being that he was working for Chris Blackwell, right? Or with the family. Before
they were just friends because they were in the same building.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So he had the studio on the bottom and they had the offices.
Yeah.
Right. And then Trojan were working in that same office.
Oh, okay.
Then my dad moved out and they took over the whole building.
All right. All right.
But artists used to come there and they used to use the studio.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, all right.
That's how it started. And that's how they heard artists. They heard Jackie Edwards sing. They heard, Millie Small sang there. But they were signed to Island and Trojan. He just had the studio.
Okay, I tell you, it's amazing how, you meet friends, and you come together and you build this whole history, together. Yeah. Just super amazing. Yeah, and then General Levy worked in his.
Yes. He did. I've known him for years. General Levy used to work in our record shop when he was in high school. Yeah. Oh, you know about General Levy, yeah?
Yeah. I know.
General Levy worked in our record shop. Yeah. Know him very well. He's Trinidad, and his parents are Trinidad. And his mom very well. She was the first person I ate roti from.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was the first person I ate roti from. But yeah. General Levy worked in my shop. He's huge now in England. Huge rapper there. Yeah, huge.
Like everywhere.
Yeah.
Trinidad.
Yeah, we've gone over.
Those are the things that I think. But this is a very interesting interesting history about him and so forth. But then they mentioned that he moved back to Jamaica.
He did.
So did he continue
the music?
With the music and so forth in Jamaica, or?
No. When he moved to Jamaica to live, it was really to retire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was to retire. He just really, anybody that wanted to license anything from his catalog, like Believe Digital and companies like that. Now everything's gone digital now, which my dad was totally not on board with. But we've taken over that side now. My sisters and myself are taking on that side. But it was really to retire and go back to his home. He had his next dream was really to bring back farming. And he's cultivated a farmland. We do organic herbs, spices, and that's what he's done in Jamaica.
Yeah. So he just did that, but he still did distribution of music, as you said, or just working on the farm.
He just really worked on the farm, really. But anybody that wanted to like his catalog is still alive. Anybody that wanted to license anything, he would do it in that way, like go and put something on a DAT or anything. Yes.
Yeah.
But and then he got sick. He was sick for the past 15 years.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, he developed cancer, and all those years in the studio.
So at what age did he move back? Because seeing that he had so much of a passion for music and a whole conglomerate, a whole, all these studios and so forth, it's like to leave behind.
Daddy went back to England. Oh, he was the late 60s. 1890, like late, early 70s. Yeah, he went back in his 70s.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in his 70s.
He lived his life.
Yeah, man, he lived his life because he went back to Jamaica in his 70s. It was time to slow it down now. Yeah, he's done his dues.
Lifetime from 15, or let's say it started in the 20s, from 20 all the way to your 70s.
Yeah, he didn't want to stay. He was getting tired of the cold, and he just wanted to just go back to Jamaica. He had so many friends there. He's very close with people in Jamaica from Dynamic, Bunny Lee, and Byron Lee's family.
And the
Very
Dragonaires.
all those people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So come Sonny, they're very, very close. So he went back there, did a lot of stuff with them, and just really liming and hanging out with his friends in Jamaica, which he loved. And that's how he wanted to retire. He wanted to retire healthy. He didn't want to retire in the cold and be sick and bent up and arthritis.
True.
He wanted to go back to his homeland. And he did. And let me tell you, he went back with a big belly, and he was so healthy. I mean, that fresh air and fruit and sun did wonders for them. And he was happy, He just said he got sick in the last 10, 15 years, but, he died peacefully at home.
Yeah, that's good. That's very important,
Yeah.
But living in London, did you go back and forth from London to Jamaica, like have family trips and so forth?
Oh, my dad got us our Jamaican passport since we were 10. Yeah, ever since Maggie Thatcher became Prime Minister, he told my mum, no, I never want them ever to lose their identity. So I've been going backwards and forwards since I was about 9. Yeah, I've been always traveled backwards and forwards.
Yeah, and then you decided to come here when you got older.
Yeah, so after I was living in Jamaica before I came to New York. I actually worked for Air Jamaica. That's what brought me to New York.
Over here. All right. Nice. That's really nice. So we're gonna take a break again. We're gonna play you some music so you familiarize yourself with, some of the history of his catalogs, and we'll be right back. Wait, I'm gonna stop.
Hi, this is Carlene Davis, and I bring you greetings from Kingston, Jamaica. And I just want to wish the entire family, Robert's family, and the organization for this historical occasion. I met Sonny many, many years ago when he had distributed my single called Just Because I'm a Woman. It was recorded through Sonic Sound with Neville Lee, and he was the distributor for that single. This was after I had done songs such as Stealing Love on the Side. It was doing a lot of good stuff over there in Europe. But he was just that individual that you could go to every time you visited England. He was someone in the industry you could go to, and he will give you heads up as to what's happening in England and how best to go about it and who to go to, And so I'm just thankful that he had the vision to have given his all, invested his time and his money into the Jamaican music over there in England. That's a huge feat when there was so much opposition. So I say to God be the glory, and I pray that the generations that are yet to come will know about the work that Sonny has done, and that it will help them to move forward and to believe in themselves that when you have a vision and you put it in God's hand, he will open doors that no man can shut. So I say to God be the glory, great things he has done. Have a great time. God bless you.
Hi, I'm Bob Bell. I started in the music business in 1965, working at Island Records at 108 Cambridge Road in Kilburn, northwest London. 108 Cambridge Road was the site of Sonny Roberts' recording studio, and it was Sonny who had put Chris Blackwell in contact with Lee Gopthall, who owned the building. I worked in the stores, which was down in the basement, and that was the site of Sonny's recording studio. And the office I shared with my friend and colleague Tim Clark was his old control room, and we would sit there in our little office, packing up the orders, looking out through the big glass window, which was the same window that Sonny would have looked out upon when he was recording the Marvels and Rico and Dimples and Dandy and Sugar and Dandy and all those acts from the very early 60s. I got to know Sonny over the years, and I was very proud to know him. He was the first Jamaican to start his own record company, the first Jamaican to have a recording studio, the first Jamaican to have his own retail store. I mean, he really was a pioneer. And it was him that put Chris Blackwell in touch with Lee Gopthall. And it was Lee that owned 108 Cambridge Road. And had it not been for that meeting, quite likely that Trojan Records would never have happened. And Trojan really was the company that ended up marketing reggae to the world. So Sonny was a pioneer in many, many ways. And I'm very, very honoured to have known him and to have been his friend. God bless you, Sonny.
Great is great, you can never underrate. As I would tell you, this is Striker Lee, son of Bonnie Striker Lee, the original Gargan, coming to you live from Kingston, Jamaica, Bonnie Striker Lee Reggae Museum. As my father would say, all things shall perish, music alone shall live. So today we're here talking about the great man, the pioneer, the legend, and his contribution. Big up Sonny Roberts and the Roberts family. From my family, the Lee family, to your family, we're all in this reggae family. So the big man there, the real trailblazer, we'll keep him legacy alive. The big man, right? Just want to say congratulations on the blue plaque. Love you all.
He sold more copies than his records, and he didn't like it. Bum 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 bum.
Lauren, you better wake up. I need a chaplain to take me non-stop. I can't stay.
Sonny Roberts left a major legacy behind, a royal gem of music for everyone to continue to enjoy and carry on his name through history. Keep it locked for more from Angie Roberts, his daughter, as she takes us down memory lane. So we're back. Table Talk Show with Nikki G and Angie. The history of Sonny Roberts, it's, as I said from the beginning, it's a lot of history. He was a pioneer, he was a producer, he was a family man, and he was honored in the Caribbean community as well as in London. So we are going to go on another break and we play some more music for Sonny Roberts. Angie, before we go, would you like to say anything further and let us know where we could find his music and, you know, all the information that you'd like to give us?
So anything that we have, his catalog is really available anywhere, digitally on Apple Music, online. Just search Sonny Roberts. We're on all social platforms, and anything else is, you know, he was my father. He was a trailblazer, pioneer, and he was just a man of pure love and had a wonderful spirit. He loved music and he loved people. And he just wanted to share. He was never, ever tired of sharing his knowledge and just wanted to just give. He just wanted to give.
Yeah.
He loved music.
And we're doing this to honor him, to carry on his legacy.
Definitely.
So you would know, not just the Caribbean community, but everyone would know his contribution to society, to humanity, to music, to everyone, you know, so keep it locked. There's more coming.
More to come.
Right back. Table Talk Show.
See you soon.
Remember cruise ship holidays? Well, at 16, here's Judy Boucher to remind us what they look like, along with her take on a reggae classic.
Judy Boucher video it sort of smacks of being stuck in a cabaret lounge on a car ferry to me, really.
If my love was...
Judy Boucher's like a reggae singer, really. I mean, R&B and reggae, but I had only heard her before on reggae records, and this to me sounded like the kind of record that my mum would have absolutely loved.
But I love